Hi, my name is Susanna Brooks, and today I'm going to convince you that having armed officers in schools will make our children safer from school shootings. And these are my parents ready to listen to my speech.
Do you know that sickening feeling you get when your car shudders after being passed by a zooming truck in the center turn lane? It makes you feel like a sitting duck. And that's why I always watch my rearview mirror and get ready to take evasive action. But what if those trucks swerved into my lane and hitting me from behind? What if, knowing that that is a real possibility, I didn't do anything to prevent it? In an accident like that, I could lose my life. And that's the way I feel about students in schools these days. They're sitting ducks for deranged individuals to come right in and shoot them up. Armed bad guys determined to kill innocents can enter a school and dictate the outcome virtually undeterred. Americans are asking, how is it possible that the children are left so vulnerable in a place that they are supposed to feel so safe? What if there was something that could be done to keep their children from becoming victims of school shootings and it wasn't done? I believe that placing properly vetted, well-trained armed adults in schools will make students safer from school shootings. And here's how. Well-publicized gun-free zones are soft targets ready for exploitation. This has to change. Right now, schools are ideal places for an easy kill. It is the perfect storm for deranged individuals on a mission. There are thousands of schools in cities and countries across our nation, full of people guaranteed not to be armed. Schools prominently display their gun-free signs at the front entrance. The only defense these people have on the inside is a quickly locked and closed door. Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting survivor teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis knows firsthand how vulnerable teachers and children in schools are today. She was there on December 14, 2012, when Adam Lanza killed 20 first graders and 6 adults. She recalls the terrors in her book, Choosing Hope. First comes the initial blast of gunfire, then the sound of shattering glass. The hair on my arm stands up. I know right away what I am hearing. Someone with a weapon is shooting their way into our perfect school. Caitlin saved herself and 15 first graders that morning by shoving them one by one on top of each other in a teeny bathroom at the back of her classroom. As they waited, they could hear people in the adjacent rooms pleading for their lives. She wasn't sure, but she thinks the gunman opened the door and looked in her classroom, but quickly moved on when he realized that the room was dark and she was able to move a bookcase in front of the teeny bathroom. If there had been an armed school resource officer at the school that day, he may have been able to stop the gunman during his rampage. The National Association of Resource Officers, or the NASRO, says that for the academic year 2013 to 2014, there's approximately less than half had at least one SRO, and that was the year after Sandy Hook. Schools need to be hardened and advertised as such to make sure that bad guys know they will be challenged with return fire. Bad guys know if the school they want to shoot up has armed good guys in the inside. What we don't know is how many school shootings didn't happen because the bad guy knew there was an armed good guy inside. But what we do know is that there is an armed opposition, the gunman stopped shooting, and lives are saved. On February 12, 2018, in a recent school shooting in Los Angeles, California, Mo Cannerty, executive director for the NASRO, said, "It is abundantly clear that schools must do all they can to prevent firearms from entering their campus. One of the most effective ways to reduce the threat of firearms is to carefully select well-trained SRO officers. As a police officer, the SRO are well-trained on handling and securing weapons safely. Should a weapon be used before being discovered, an SRO can mitigate the effects by stopping further shootings and providing life-saving first aid to the victims and summoning and coordinating emergency response. Also, according to the NASRO, the best practice guidelines, there should be at least one SRO per 1,000 students, and more for schools with big campuses or multiple buildings. The NASRO also describes the SRO's career law enforcement officer with sworn authority who can carry a firearm unless prohibited by their local jurisdiction. The National Rifle Association announced on December 12th the formation of the National School Shield Program, a program that would be looking at how to improve school shootings in order to prevent more tragedies at school. In the U.S., one of its task force findings was a properly trained armed school resource officer, such as a SRO, has proven to be an important layer of security for prevention and response in case of an active threat on campus. So, as the school security strengthens and after each threat is publicized, would-be school shootings will begin to think twice. School shooters will stop their carnage when confronted with armed opposition. In his book, Control: Exposing the Truth About Gun Control, Glenn Beck tells a story about Pearl, Mississippi. On October 1st, 1997, in Pearl, Mississippi, Luke Woodham's rampage was ended by an armed vice principal. On that day, a 16-year-old boy slit his mother's throat, grabbed her rifle, put a trench coat on, and left for Pearl High School. He was headed towards the courtyard and began firing, hitting 9 of his classmates and killing 2. As the boy left to go to the local middle school, he was confronted by a Colt 45. The vice principal, Joel Merrick, ran to his car when he heard the shots, grabbed his gun, and held it to the boy's head and stopped him from going on to his next target. According to everytown.org, there has been 306 shootings in the U.S. since Sandy Hook. That averages about 5 per week. Finding a solution is the problem, and putting competent armed security officers in significant numbers in schools right now is the answer. Nothing anti-gun in school advocates propose will deter a school shooter, like adding armed protection cam. A determined shooter will find a way around a metal detector or physical barrier. They will break ground level windows or find unsecured doors or steal entry ID badges. Changing the law won't help because many shooters steal the gun from lawful owners and also killing them in the process. In fact, according to Rebecca Elliott of Arizona Law Review, as of 2015, 51 studies failed to find significant evidence that more gun control regulations would be effective. Guns are not the reason for school shootings. It takes a human being to discharge a gun. It must be loaded by a human being, it must be aimed by a human being, and the target must be chosen by a human being. Law-abiding, mentally competent human beings would never turn a gun on another human being unless their life was in imminent danger. Criminals and madmen don't follow the law. Placing thoroughly investigated, trained, armed adults in schools will go far in reducing the incidence and impact of school shootings. We need to harden schools and make everyone know it and enforce existing gun laws. Guns are not the cause of school shootings. Unhealthy people are. This is something that we can see coming. Like swerving to avoid a collision in a car, school shootings can be impacted by acknowledging their possibilities and identifying ways to avoid them. If it gets as far as the schoolyard, the best way to stop or reduce the death toll is firepower. Thank you.
I'm convinced.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. I'm convinced as well.
Thank you.
Great job.